This is what I was saying earlier on about the field becoming a little bit more compressed in free practice too than we saw earlier on today, when the spread was somewhat greater. And obviously everyone's starting to close in on Toprak Razgatlioglu as well this afternoon compared to earlier on today. When you're close to the limit, there's only so much more that you can find, obviously. So it's no disrespect to Toprak that the others have been able to close that gap a little bit. But he still appears to have enough of an advantage on long run pace, doesn't he? There is another low 1 minute 26, 1 minute 26.274 this time around from Toprak.
Just looking at the times as well, keep an eye on Taz McKenzie here at the end of this lap on the number 95 machine. McKenzie's 22nd fastest right now at 27.9. He's on course to move right up the order, so we'll see what McKenzie can do as he comes into the final couple of corners. He's just in front of Alvaro Bautista out in the racetrack.
Yeah, could potentially be a little bit of tyre for a glory run late here in free practice too, but Mackenzie does make some progress, loses some ground in the final sector, so it's only enough for P17, but it is his fastest time of the day so far, and keeps him comfortably ahead of the likes of Xavi Vierke and Iker Lecuona, which frankly all season long is the only target that you can have if you're on an independent Honda.
Yeah, he lost 7/10 of a second there in that final sector, but the leading Honda rider out there right now, and that's what the goal has to be.
Alvaro Bautista, Danilo Petrucci both up on Razgatlioglu's times on their latest lap, and Petrucci in particular looking strong here, almost 1/10 of a second up on Toprak at the halfway mark, and that includes that sector 2 where Toprak's been going great guns. So this could be a very good lap for Danilo Petrucci, one of only 2 riders who's yet to improve on his time from FP1. 1:26.835 he set earlier on today. Garrett Gerloff, incidentally, is the other, set a 1 minute 27 flat earlier on. He's been a few tenths of a second short of that, down in P19 this afternoon. But good lap here by the looks of things from Petrucci, who does admittedly lose a couple of tenths of a second in sector 3. We'll see where this places him as he crosses the line. 3 minutes to go in FP2. It's enough for P4. 1 minute 26.416. That is indeed his fastest time of the day.
Yeah, and you never know what tyres riders are on in these sessions as well, but you'd imagine a fresh tyre there, maybe even a soft tyre for Petrucci at the end of the session, just to get that little bit of information for the team. But a lot of the time that final run is a bit of a time attack run, and Petrucci able to get himself up there inside the top 5. Good effort.
Locatelli following in the tyre tracks of Bautista there. New personal best for Locker, 1 minute 26.688, so 7/10 of a second still down on Toprak Razgatlioglu, who leads in FP2 this afternoon. 2.5 minutes to go. Petrucci's found another 2/10 of a second in the first sector of his latest lap. So Petrucci once again starting this lap superbly. First 2 sectors. Sector 3 is where he lost his ground last time around. We'll see how he gets on this lap.
Yeah, and for Petrucci it was around about 1/4 of a second slower than Razgatlioglu in sector 3 last time around, and for Toprak, he's got the bike working very well in that second half of the lap, and well, you can see there into the last
understatement
corner why he's so confident in there. But Petrucci's lost a little bit more ground in sector 3, but could well move himself right up onto probably as fast as Bulaga, or a little bit faster than Bulaga.
And we know how Barney like to celebrate. If Petrucci can get anywhere near Toprak, there's going to be celebrations in the pit box, I think. Petrucci's last lap was good. This one looks like being even better. He's up on Toprak after 3 completed sectors, and it's a 1 minute 26.235. It is indeed enough to just go in front of Nicolo Bulaga. 0.003 of a second, and plenty of smiles in the pit boxes for Danilo Petrucci. I'm quite sure about that, as we switch to see Michael Ruben Rinaldi crossing the line in P7, and the team there looked pretty satisfied as well.
Petrucci lost 1/3 of a second there in the final sector of the track as well, the second half of the lap, so that's where he's losing his lap time compared to Razgatlioglu.
Plenty of Ducatis going strong in the final minutes of this FP2. I don't know whether that's coincidence on what they have decided to do with their programme and with their tyres and their allocation this afternoon. But late on here, we've seen Petrucci make progress. We've seen Rinaldi go up to P7. Sam Lowe's now up to P8. So Ducati, certainly plenty of them on the grid this season, but running well in those top 10 positions.
You can see Toprak here just coming around the Melbourne Loop, but it's Scott Redding behind him that's actually quite interesting as well. Toprak on course to move into the 1 minute 25s, but Redding's got a good benchmark in front of him, and could move himself up into the top 5.
It's not all too often that you see riders go close to lap record pace in a free practice session, but Toprak Razgatlioglu isn't too far away. He's going to get one more lap. 1:26.131 in the end for Razgatlioglu. Reading crosses the line to go P5 this afternoon. 1:26.434. That's a lot more like it for him. Only 4/10 down on Toprak.
And just looking at the times as well, the only rider that hasn't improved his time in this session is Garrett Gerloff, teammate to Scott Redding. He's down there in 16th fastest, but on course for a personal best now through the first sector. So we'll see if Gerloff's able to find something. He tends to do a little bit of the opposite in terms of tyre usage. Puts on a fresh tyre at the end of free practice 1 and then has a used tyre at the start of the session and then might put on a fresh one at the end of the session again. So we'll see if he can find something.
Yes, as you say, could easily be the case that Garrett Gerloff has focused on his longer runs in this free practice 2 session this afternoon. He's just making his way through sector 3. We have seen the checkered flag, so for the likes of Bautista, Locatelli, Rinaldi, Sam Lowes, Axel Bassani, 6th to 10th places, their session is now complete. The lead 5 are still out there and completing what will be their final laps, but none of them improving. Razgatlioglu 3.5 tenths of a second down after 3 sectors. Alex Lowes 3.5 tenths of a second down as well. Bulliger's rolled off, as by the looks of things has Danilo Petrucci as well. Garrett Gerloff down in P16, and that's where he stays in FP2. It will be P15 on the combined time, so 1:27 flat set in FP1 earlier on today. Astonishing pace here in Donington Park, actually, into the 1:26s all the way down to P14.
Yeah, it is impressive, and for all the riders within that second as well. Remy Gardner down there in 14th, and we've seen him as one of the form riders in WorldSBK in recent rounds. So for all those riders, they're all going to feel that they've got a chance to be able to qualify well tomorrow. And if you're able to qualify in those front 2 rows of the grid, you've got a real chance about being able to get yourself into the fight for a podium. And speaking to a lot of riders yesterday, there was 9 or 10 riders that all really felt they had a realistic chance of being able to fight for a podium, and this doesn't do too much to dissuade you from that.
No, particularly putting Danilo Petrucci among them. Much as he performed superbly here last season, given the struggles of his 2024, it is good to see him validate the expectations for this weekend, with second place in FP1 earlier on today. Second place again in FP2 this afternoon. Sets him up very nicely. All he needs now is a really strong Super Pole.